This is 1.2 types of muscle contraction. There are four types of muscle contraction, three main: concentric muscle contraction, with the muscle shortens; eccentric muscle contraction, with the muscle lengthens; isometric muscle contraction, with the muscle stays there; and isokinetic, a muscle contraction that is one where it shortens as it contracts, but is unlike isotonic contraction, as it does it as a consistent rate. One of the many factors affecting this is the motor units, and a motor unit is made up of a single motor neuron and all the muscle fibers that it affects. They work together to produce a large effect. Now, the size of the motor units are very important, as the larger, the more motor units there are, the more muscle fibers, the larger contraction, the longer contraction. Yet fine control movements use very few units, but gross movements use the high fiber to neuron ratio. That means lots of fibers and lots of neurons. The all or none law is a very simple yet important part of the contractions, as it states that a motor neuron receives a stimulus, it creates the action potential, and all the fibers are contracting or none contract at all. Some motor units are always contracting, producing a resting tension in the skeletal muscle. That's called muscle tone. The resting muscle tone stabilizes the body, creating a posture. There are three phases of a muscle twitch. The latent period, which starts at the point of the stimulus, includes the action potential, the release of calcium, the activation of the tropomyonin and trimyosin. The contraction phase is the second phase, that is the development of tension because of the cross-bridge cycle. And then the third part, which is the relaxation phase, which occurs when the tension decreases due to the restorage of calcium and the covering of actin-active sites. They are the three phases of a muscle twitch and are very important in contraction. So as I just said, the isotonic contraction is when the length of the muscle changes during the contraction, but an isometric contraction is when the whole muscle length stays the same. The tension in an isotonic contraction remains the same until relaxation, force is greater or less than resistance. For example, when you lift a dumbbell. An isometric contraction is when the whole muscle length stays the same during contraction. Therefore, the tension produced does not exceed the load. The force is then equal to the resistance. For example, when pushing against an opponent during a scrum in rugby.